Hey everybody, welcome to Michigan Out of Doors. I'm Jenny Olson, and as we dive into 2016, we've got an all-new show for you this week. I'll take you down to Brooklyn, Michigan, where we visit a facility designed to help get wounded veterans back into the hunting and fishing sports. You won't want to miss that. And Jimmy and Jordan have been working on some fun stuff for us this week too.
Well, that's right, Jenny. We are actually going to kick off this week's show with doing something that is very popular this time of the year, and that is chasing steelhead in the rivers. You won't want to miss that story, and we're also going to have time for a bragging board on this week's show, so we're going to get to see what you, the viewer, have been up to. Lots of good stuff on this week's program. You stay tuned. I'm Jimmy Gretzinger, and it's time for Michigan Out of Doors.
From the first spring rains to the soft summer breeze, dancing on the pine forest floor, the autumn colors catch your eyes, here come the crystal winter skies. It's Michigan, Michigan out of doors. Someday our children all will see this is their finest legacy, the wonder and the love of Michigan. As the wind comes whispering through the trees, the sweet smell of nature's in the air. From the Great Lakes to the quiet stream, shining like a sportsman's dream, it's a love of Michigan we all share.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by Country Smokehouse, offering a variety of meat products. Country Smokehouse is located 3 miles south of I-69 on M53, just south of Imlay City. Country Smokehouse is a meat processor, a butcher, and a destination for sportsmen. By Eagle Claw Chappelle, offering a line of pop-up and flip-over shelters and the new cabin-style Bay Runner 2. Chappelle also offers a selection of sleds, including the new winter camo pattern jet sled. Eagle Claw Chappelle, we have you covered. On the web at chappelle.com. By Greenstone Farm Credit Services, making recreational land ownership possible across Michigan and northeast Wisconsin. Begin your land financing journey at one of Greenstone's 37 locations or visit greenstonefcs.com. By Vanguard, a global manufacturer based in Michigan, featuring rifle scopes, binoculars, and spotting scopes with lifetime warranties. Vanguard supplies sporting optics and accessories for the outdoor enthusiast, online at vanguardworld.com.
Hi, I'm Jordan Brown, and we start this week's show over on the west side of the state, doing a little steelhead fishing on the Muskegon River.
Hey you guys, we're out on the Muskegon River today, some of the lower stretches, and we're going to be fishing for steelhead. Basic methods we're going to use, we're going to back bounce, we're going to try running some hot and tots, do a little plug-in today, and if we get enough fish then we're going to go ahead and actually try some float fishing with beads to see if we can't hook fish 3 different ways. I'll try to show you guys what type of setups I use and give you a little insight on some of the little tactics we use to make it work, and hopefully we can put some fish in the boat today.
Today the plan was to start with back bouncing. This technique is becoming very popular throughout the state, but it requires good boat control in order to be effective.
In a smaller boat, you can do it with a trolling motor. What you got to do is basically have a motor that can stop you in the current. Ideally, it's nice to go upstream. Sometimes if you miss a fish, you can push back upstream and drop back into them again. Smaller boats are easier to drive. When you're in a bigger boat like mine, this boat has a lot of sideboard. It's hard to steer. If you get it sideways in the current, it wants to leave you. Sometimes you don't know if you're fishing or sailing. It's just the boat runs the rules some days. But mainly you need enough motor to keep you going. And this method, you're traveling downstream, kind of like the guys that plug. So you want to be moving downstream all the time. And you're basically walking your bait on the bottom downstream in front of you. This method keeps everything right in front of the fish. You stay in the seam, so you never get out of the sweet spot. You're always in the run. Where casting, you might get 8 or 10 feet of that run where you're actually in the drift. The rest of the time, you're out of the strike zone. So this method here, by staying right in the seam all the time, you've got a 90% chance that that fish is right in front of you when you're fishing. So, and that adds to the numbers. Pretty fish. Real pretty fish. There we go.
Just took a little persistence.
Oh man. Well, we started out and fished our first 6 or 8 good spots. Of course, none of them produced, but often is the case. You got to wait for the temperature to warm up a little bit before you can get them going. This spot, we hooked this fish probably 6-7 times before we finally got him, but with back bouncing, they just don't quit. They want to come back and get it over and over again. You don't have to fish real light line with this method. I fish 12-pound P-line CXX for main line. It's a heavy line, but it's soft, it's castable. And then for a leader, I like to use a fluorocarbon. Today we're running 12-pound fluorocarbon for a leader, and I like to use the owner hooks. These hooks are just wicked sharp, and it's worth the money to spend a little more to buy sharp hooks, because if that hook won't hang on your nail, it's not sharp. And I tell you what, that's the difference between 2 fish and 10, is that hook. So don't be afraid to spend a couple dollars and buy some good hooks. But any method you use, as long as you got enough weight to keep it on the bottom, it doesn't take anything special. I use pencil weights. A lot of guys use egg weights, but they all work. Everybody can catch fish, so there's not really any super thing to your tackle. A good soft drag and a soft rod. A lot of these fish, you roof hook them in the top of the mouth, so they're hooked in the skin and not in the bone of the jaw. So you have a lot more chances of losing fish. So I like to use a softer action rod, a medium light. It's just a little more forgiving when the fish make them big runs. And in the fall time, they fight. I mean, they are incredible, the amount of fight. And once you get below 40 degrees, they don't jump. And when they don't jump, they just don't wear out fast. Another pretty fish. This one's a male. Get him in the boat without knocking out the camera, man.
Although we weren't boating very many big fish, the numbers were pretty good, despite a somewhat slow year on the big lake. After covering a few miles of river, we decided to turn around and hit some of the holes we had fished earlier in the day, hoping to find a few more.
Got a few nice ones, but hey, we're due. All we gotta do is put a big one in the boat. Make me happy. So let's get this one back. Any river has the same situation, so you don't have to fish the Muskegon to catch these fish. If you use the same tactics in any water, what I look for is a seam where is fast water and slow water meet. What the fish do is lay in the slower current and wait for feed to come by. It's kind of like deer hunting, you find a funnel spot where everything's coming into one area. Trout do the same thing. They'll set up on a spot where all the fish are coming. And more often than not, I catch them in the tail outs of a deeper hole. It's not that you don't catch them in the front of the runs, but as a majority, they'll lay on the tail out where the hole shallows, and that's where they set up to feed. So I really concentrate a lot on that. This time of year in colder water, for some reason, straight water works better. I don't know why that is. I think it's because the current's more stable. But it's ideal. The guys at Bobber Fish do really great this time of year, and there's several tactics that work great.
Come on, girl. The hard part is to turn them back downstream into the net. That's the trick.
Atta girl. Gotta give them a little sugar. What a fish, huh? What a fish. Jeez. Originally I started out as a kid fishing panfish just like everybody else, and I learned how to catch bass and northerns, and then when I got introduced to trout fishing, I was just hooked from the first time I hooked a steelhead. It was just unbelievable, the amount of fight. And probably at the age of 16, I really got serious about it, started fishing a lot and traveling a lot. But this is my home water. I live in Muskegon, so I like to fish the Muskegon River. But every river in the state will produce the same amount of fish in the same method. So don't be afraid to try it on your own water. And it's hard to beat them. They just fight. Holy cow! What a way to end the day. Beautiful fish, huh? That's a nice brown. Wow. Wasn't expecting that at all.
Back bouncing was the most effective method today, and if you fish for steelhead but have never tried it, it may be something you want to look into. Special thanks to Kirk Weaver for letting me tag along on a great day of fishing here on the Muskegon River.
It's always great to see different organizations across the state designed to get our wounded veterans back into the outdoors. And in this next story, we're going to check out Camp Liberty. It's an incredible facility that's designed to serve our men and women who serve our country and their families. Just outside of Brooklyn, Michigan in Jackson County, there's a 137-acre chunk of land that may not look like anything special from the road, but looks can be deceiving. This property is home to Camp Liberty, an organization designed to help heal U.S. service members, veterans, and their families through hunting, fishing, and faith-based activities. A few weeks ago, I stopped in for a visit and got a sneak peek at the brand new Camp Liberty Lodge that's still under construction. Most all materials and labor used to build this gorgeous facility have been donated by many individuals and organizations across the state.
I'll tell you, Camp Liberty's given my faith back in humanity, because I thought there was a lot of people's country who just didn't care about the vets. They were like the forgotten ones. But I tell you what, so many good people have stepped up. So many people that you don't even dream of stepping up. Now that we have the bridge done, and that was a big challenge, almost $200,000, and it was all donated and taken care of, and we got the lodge going. It's just about complete, thank God, and we have our pole barn and then the chapel over the river. So we'll be able to do our faith-based programs. It'll be beautiful.
The lodge here at Camp Liberty is still under construction, but once it's complete, it will be a state-of-the-art facility designed to accommodate guests with most any limitation. The main floor will have heated flooring, wheelchair-accessible bedrooms, bathrooms, and kitchen, a beautiful stone fireplace, brick paver patio and fire pit, and much more. Rich Delisle was joined by Camp Liberty co-founder Rick Briggs for my tour of the lodge and hunting land here. Rick says Camp Liberty serves an important role in veterans' lives.
We created Camp Liberty. We actually started on this project about 7 years ago, and from the concept that the number one problem we're having with our combatants returning and reintegrating back into society is their willingness to admit they're having issues. And to address that bottleneck, to get them to raise their hand and say, life is harder than it is, the 22 suicides a day, the incarceration rate, the divorce, the homelessness, the joblessness, all that type stuff. We figured we had to get them to admit they're having issues, and that requires them to open up and say, hey, I need help. And to do that, we're using Mother Nature. Michigan Out of Doors, there's not a better state to be in. And what we do is we get them outdoors hunting, fishing, kayaking, canoeing, camping, whatever, and we use that to get them out and to participate in fellowship with other veterans and their families. Because the veteran family has to heal together. The children are paying an enormous price with secondary and tertiary PTSD, post-traumatic stress, the issues related to traumatic brain injury and so on. Everybody has to understand that there has to be a certain amount of patience and compassion and so on, but there also has to be a willingness to step forward and get help, because both PTSD and TBI are treatable, but they have to raise their hand first to get help.
The expansive land here at Camp Liberty holds many wheelchair-accessible hunting blinds, nature trails, and the future site of an outdoor chapel. The facility is open for service members and their families to volunteer or just enjoy the peacefulness here.
We work with both injured and disabled veterans, and when we have open houses and all that, it's open to all veterans, whether they're injured or disabled or not, because we also rely on them to help build our volunteer base, our core that's going to help our injured, because veterans open up better with other vets that have, we share a very strong bond. We might pick on each other, Army, Navy, Air Force, etc., but when we get together, it's a very special thing to see.
One of the veterans who was here today was Brian Snell. Brian would be headed out to the woods later for a deer hunt, but right now he was just enjoying his new track chair. Last fall, Brian had borrowed one of Camp Liberty's track chairs and was pretty fired up at all it allowed him to do. And just a few weeks ago, Brian was presented with his very own track chair from ITC Holdings of Novi. The employees and management of ITC held a fundraiser and purchased 11 chairs to donate to our injured veterans.
Well, actually I saw some of the advertisements for supporting our wounded veterans, and I'm a person that likes the outdoors, and when I saw these track chairs and realized that people get to return from basically the war, and they don't have ways to get around out and to do the things that they enjoy, I thought, what a great thing for us to do. And candidly, I was overwhelmed by the support of our employees. I don't think we've had any one fundraiser where we have raised so much money so quickly. And then, of course, the management of the company really got behind it, and we were able to put a company match together for the money that we raised, myself included in that. And so overall, we raised a little over $109,000 to buy these track chairs. And our employees are really proud of what they did. I'm proud of them, and so it's been a great thing.
Back at Camp Liberty, Brian had his new track chair all warmed up and ready to get out in the woods for a muzzleloader hunt. Hey Brian, you're doing some hunting today?
Yes, I am.
Awesome. So what are you after out there?
Hopefully a whitetail, decent, a good side one.
Awesome. You after a buck or a doe or?
Either one. I'm not picky.
Very cool. All right. So is this, have you used a track chair before? Is this one you've had for a little bit?
Yes, I came out here earlier in the season and did a hunt. And it was my first time in it, and got to ride out to one of the blinds. It was amazing. I thought I'd never be able to do that again in my life, and I got my first 4-point ever, and I actually got to drag it back with the chair. It actually drug the deer and everything, and it was a wooded area, and didn't give me, I would have never been able to do any of it without the chair and without the support of Camp Liberty being able to let me borrow something like this and pushing me to do it, because they had me out for the Liberty hunt and I never even thought I'd be able to hunt again, and then I got that thought in my head, and the next thing I know, I'm going out with my stepdad going hunting and on my own, and it kind of really opened me up.
Brian is a member of the United States Marine Corps. He served for 14 years and was deployed 5 times to Okinawa, Afghanistan, and Iraq. After his last deployment, he arrived back in the States, and 7 months later, he was in an accident that caused the limitations he has today.
Well, I broke my back in 3 spots. I shattered 1 vertebrae, fractured 2, and I'm paralyzed on my left leg. Just 2 years ago, my wife was getting told I was never going to be able to do anything, function, and heck, they pronounced me dead 3 times, and I was told because of my head injuries I'd never be able to have a thinking process, and now I get to come out here, and with the peace and quiet, it's nice just to be away from everything, and it shows me that I can still do some stuff, and they're always after me to try and do something else, and I like that. I want to say thanks to ITC for being able to get me a chair, because now the limitations have lifted from me, so I can actually, take the dog for a walk the kids down to the bus stop. The support that I have, Camp Liberty, I can't say enough with. I mean, they're the ones that kind of got the whole thing rolling for me, introduced me to the chair. I didn't know anything about it, and I mean, it's changed my life. I quit looking at things that I can't do and what I can do, and it's just really changed my life now.
And that's exactly what the folks at Camp Liberty are doing, changing the lives of our injured veterans and their families. For Brian, the track chair has improved his life dramatically. For others, it may just be the camaraderie of fellow veterans or a place for their spouses to connect with those who share the same burdens in life after service. Whatever the reason, Camp Liberty is here for those who need it. Thank you to everyone at Camp Liberty for helping to serve those who served our country and protected the freedoms we enjoy here in Michigan's Out of Doors. Thanks for joining us this week for Michigan Out of Doors. Next time you're online, make sure you check us out. You can do so on our website at michiganoutofdoorstv.com. You can check out older episodes, watch this week's episode again, wild game recipes, all sorts of fun stuff on our website. You can also visit us on our Facebook page at Michigan Out of Doors TV. We are working on a lot of fun stuff for you this winter here on the TV show.
Well, make sure you are joining us over the next few weeks here in Michigan Out of Doors. We're hoping to have kind of a cool deer hunt on next week's program. Gabe Van Wormer was actually able to tag along with a hunter throughout the different seasons of the year. You won't want to miss that. We are hoping for some good ice fishing as well. We hear there is ice in parts of the state, and we'll be heading north to find some of that. And here in West Michigan, it's in the teens today, so actually we're getting some ice forming here as well. Lots of good stuff coming over the next few weeks, and if we don't see you in the woods or on the water, hopefully we'll see you right back here next week on your PBS station.
Michigan Out of Doors is presented by the Michigan chapters of Safari Club International. For over 40 years, SCI has been protecting hunters' rights and promoting wildlife conservation here in Michigan and around the world. SCI chapter locations can be found on the web at firstformichigan.org. By the Ultimate Sports Show Tour, producing consumer shows including the Ultimate Fishing Show Detroit, January 7th through 10th at Novi's Suburban Collection Showplace. This show features fishing tackle, fishing trips, fishing boats, and seminars on every Michigan game fish. The Ultimate Fishing Show, Detroit, January 7 through 10. By Propane, Clean American Energy. Propane retailers promote the safe use of Michigan-produced gas energy in homes, farms, and businesses across our great state. Learn more at usemichiganpropane.com.
When I wander far away, a dream stays with me night and day. It's the road that leads to my home state. I am a Michigan man. Changing seasons paint the scene like rainbow trout in a hidden stream. The white-tailed deer in the tall pine trees. I am a Michigan man. I am a Michigan man. Ask where I'm from and I'll show you my hands. Lord above, I love this land.